Now they don't do it just on Halloween. What other? I know we're going to talk about some other holidays. What else do they got out there?
Well, so I have already known about Christmas, and we can go into that because that's got a really interesting thing also. But I want to talk about Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving's always been one of my favorite holidays.
Yeah.
That and Independence Day. But I'm open enough to dig and find whatever I can. I found that, well, clearly Thanksgiving is literally just a duplicate of Harvest Day that we've had for centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries in other countries.
Right.
So I understand that, right? And then we build it into it's our Piglet programs and Native American, and then all that BS that we do in the modern day. So I get that. I still love Thanksgiving because that's just a day I eat really well. But and it's it's a day for family to get together. So I really searched and I couldn't find much. But what I did find, which I find really, really interesting, is there are a bunch of openly active satanic organizations that are trying to manipulate Thanksgiving. Now, what I mean by that is they're not trying to tell us it's different, but they get together on Thanksgiving and they thank Satan intentionally. That's what they do because they believe that we're sending too many positive vibes out and we're doing exactly opposite from what they want. So that because it's tradition, as you know, people sit around and say, what are you thankful for? What do you thank you for? What are you blessed for? So on and so forth, right? So these organizations are actively trying to do to thank Satan for all the bad things that have happened, which is really weird. And then of course, what's their mantra again? So they justify they can do anything as long as they add at the end, as long as you do no harm to others, which is BS, right? So that's also their mantras for Thanksgiving. So that's interesting. So I'd be honest, I haven't found much on that. Now, I've known a lot around Christmas, and I find this very, very interesting. So first, most people now, even devout Christians, know that Jesus wasn't born on December 25th.
Right.
He was born somewhere probably between September and October. Now, the genesis of that is, what's the word? Mary was told, I believe it was on March 25th, it looks like, somewhere around there, that she was given words that she had extracted that out, and it ended up as December 25th. That's what some people say. Some people say it's intentionally a satanic thing, so on and so forth. What I do think is intentional is they moved it away from his birthday, which there's a lot of evidence that looks like it could be 9/11. And if Jesus's actual birthday was on 9/11, trying to reverse that.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I was on Jason Q yesterday, and we talked quite extensively. He's a wealth of information. He's like,
well, I was bagging on Jason Q. Jason Q talked a lot. You were very patient and listened.
Oh, I was
but he was amazing.
He's amazing, right?
I told him I was messing with him yesterday. It was the funniest thing. He's like, I know. He goes, I gotta apologize to Michael. I go, no,
not at all. Yeah, I loved it.
Michael loved it. Tracy loved it.
Oh God,
it was so funny though.
Yeah.
But yeah, he
even talked about some of this. He said that Pat Tillman, you might remember him. He's the professional football player that went into became a Army Ranger, and there was some supposedly, he was fire, and Jason, I've seen some other people that have him because it would have been too uplifting for everyone to have him be like that much of a hero. And I was like, wow, that's just really the way they do things, isn't it?
It is.
It's too uplifting. So kind of like what you're saying, it's too uplifting on Thanksgiving for everyone. So they're going to pump some negativity into it through their own ceremonies. It's like, it's what they do. It's what they do. And that's what they've been doing. So yeah, Christmas, unfortunately, has become basically, I same thing, kind of pulled away from Christmas. Quite a bit. I still, give gifts, but it's not the big celebration. We don't even do a tree anymore because that's part of the ritual and all kind of crazy stuff.
And isn't it sad? All these things we enjoy.
I know that's what people are going to find out. That's what we've been talking about.
It's almost, I feel, and no offense to any Christians out there, because I'm a
Yeah.
Christian, but
Yeah.
it's almost like we're gonna have to reinvent our holidays, because it's crazy. I mean, the one of the original origins of Santa, we all came from Saint Nicholas, but what a lot of people don't know is Saint Nicholas really had an alter ego called Krampus, right? And so moving forward, Saint Nicholas would give gifts and Krampus would supply the whip, which is really, again, more of a trick or treat thing, right? I don't think
Yeah.
that's an accident. That it was almost like an alter ego type thing.
Hmm.
And then it morphed into Santa. And some people say, well, look, it just switched letters around. Now you got Satan again.
Mhm.
So I I have learned in the last few years, I'm better off not believing anything
Oh yeah.
and figuring it out than I am believing anything and discovering that it was wrong. I'm I wouldn't say safer, but I'm closer to the truth if I believe everything is a lie first, and then I dissect it, than if I believe it's the truth and I wait till it to hit me in the ass. You know what I mean? Or smack me in the
Yeah.
back of the head. That has been, I'm right more often doing that at a much higher percentage, which is sad to know that we literally live a lie.
Yeah. And I've heard from, because and
Love the
their,
culture.
their,
Yeah.
yeah, love the culture, love their, way of, ceremony and, honoring, the earth, the sky, Father Sky, Mother Earth, and, the directions and the seventh generation yet unborn. So every ceremony usually has that, in it. It's very beautiful. And when you say prayers over your food, it's you're blessing everything that's basically given its life so that you may live. So it's pretty sacred. It's pretty cool. So I remember reading about this one. I think it was a Cherokee Indian. He basically stayed. And I think a lot of them stayed. So they basically did the Trail of Tears. Sent them to Oklahoma and other places. The Cherokee Indians from North Carolina, South Carolina, and some of them stayed. And I remember reading this book about one that he would go and he would watch the people going into the church. He's like, he wanted to know about this religion, what is their religion like? And he started to notice that only on one day were they sacred with their religion, and it was only for like a couple of hours, and they all seemed bored during that day of religious, praying to their God. And then from that day on, they just completely forgot about it. And for him, it was like it's a way of life. He was always sacred. He was always part of sacredness and spirituality and stuff like that. And that's kind of the way I've tried to live my life. So it's interesting. Some people think that their religion is the ultimate. I look at everything. I see beauty in everything, and it's not that I pick or choose. I just observe it. And I love that people can, make those connections. You see people that are making the connections, and then you can see the people that aren't. Those people that aren't us,
Yeah,
which we're seeing a lot of right now, and it's very frustrating because a lot of people have thought that the people that we have given power to rule us had our best interest in mind, and now we're starting to see that's not the case. In fact, they're actually quite evil. And we're seeing in Australia that one of the I don't know, not a prime minister, but one of the rulers, whatever, premiers, I guess, and her cabinet all resigned because they were paid to push mandates, paid just like we talk about with the opioid epidemic that hit America. Salespeople went out and paid doctors to push OxyContin, gave them all kinds of benefits, free cars,
hookers too.
Hookers, yeah. And that was
Everything.
one. Make sure you hook them up.
They gave doctors cocaine. You
Sure.
you want to work more hours? We got you hooked up here, and you
Mhm.
can't get in trouble for taking your own prescriptions. I mean, it's very sinister, and it's dark, and I believe that where there's dark, there's also light. I mean, and vice versa. So I'm not a scholar of the Bible, but I can tell you that the Bible's been manipulated crazy so many times, inside and outside of the Bible. In fact, I did a movie, The Red Pill Shall Inherit the Earth, and it's about the word meek. The word meek in the Bible means something completely different than you were taught that it means. It's complete. Meek is strength under fire, and
Mhm.
it's a silent, strong person. And it's also in the Greek origin or Turkish origin is about a strong horse. You know what I mean? It
Mm.
doesn't mean anything that we're taught that it means, because that's why I call it the red pill shall inherit the earth, because it's the people that are strong through this. And it doesn't mean that we're
Beautiful.
shooting people. It just means that we're strong through all this desperation.
Yeah.
But
Under
it's
adversity, yeah.
interesting
Mhm.
because the Bible is manipulated so much. There maybe one of the original versions is correct, and it hasn't been changed. But guess what? If you read the Bible, you know that there's still missing books. So even
Yeah.
if you get one of the originals, there's still missing books. So people need to be open enough, if they're
Mm.
religious, to ask why. Why would they eliminate books out of the Bible? Why would they manipulate the Bible? Because it's all about control. I've got a little film that's coming out probably tomorrow with Jason Q, and it's a very short one, but it literally is explaining about this so-called new Bible that they released called the 𝐑𝐄𝐒𝐑. And when you
Mm.
see the origins of that and the satanic stuff that's going, like, whoa. So
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
people need to find their source and their intuition, like you always say, is so important in finding our light. And the reason why I say that is because we can't look to a church anymore. And
Yeah.
I'm not really trying to demonize churches, but there is a lot of bad in many churches. And I hate to say it's probably over 70-80%. And it
Yes.
sickens me to say that, but if we're going to be honest, and I just want to be honest, I try to do the research, and I find things that, like, I hate the fact that sports is manipulated, because I was playing it,
Yep.
played it as an adult.
Had
I
your
was
own gyms and all kind of
Yep,
crazy stuff.
on
Yeah.
my own gym, semi pro. I played. There's a whole bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it sickens me to know that,
Sure. Mhm.
but I also have to be honest and recognize it at the same time.
Good point. Good. And
Because
that's the thing we're trying to help people recognize, that you're going to go through this denial process, just like a lot of people
That's
went
not a
through.
river in Egypt, by the way.
Yes, it's Nile, denial. Yes, it's